Hi, everybody. This is Lori from GLP-1 Journey in Review. I'm just having an impromptu live. Haven't had a live in a couple of weeks, so I thought that I would just had the time, so I thought I'd go ahead and have one. So, how's everybody doing on their GLP-1 journey? I know so far I have lost 62 pounds. Yay for me. I have not had any side effects, so to speak, so I'm very lucky with that. Uh, very happy. Let me know if you're having any side effects. I'm really trying to get my interview series going. So if any of you would like to be interviewed, if you're on a weight loss journey, please email me. You could go to my channel, write any comment. Love to interview you. I just had an interview come out yesterday with Allie from Fit Flavor Fun. That was so much fun doing it with you. And thank you, Allie. It was so much fun. Again, that's on my channel. I have one coming out probably next week that I'm going to be taping tomorrow with this guy, Neil from the UK. You could find out what some of the differences are with the UK versus America, and you see how he's handling his journey. He run into a couple problems and has changed his journey some, but let's see how that goes. And that should be out probably the beginning of the week. I have a couple more scheduled with both influencers and with some people that are just on a weight loss journey. I really appreciate everybody doing these interviews and everybody watching it. Please remember to hit that like, hit that subscribe. It really does help the channel and will let me continue doing, all the things that I can, advocating for more accessibility and more affordability. Speaking of which, Eli Lilly just dropped their 12.5 and their 15 milligram doses on, I believe it was yesterday. They won't be available, I think, till July, and the prices on that are $4.99, I believe. So that's that. I'm gonna say this wrong. Zen's per Dragon. How you doing? Thanks for joining me. We're talking about everything GLP-1. Again, there's also been I'm not a political station. This is not political, but if it relates to GLP-1, I'm going to mention it. Bernie Sanders is backing a bill that would stop the advertising on TV from the pharmaceutical companies to the public. I personally, and this is my opinion, I personally agree with that. I don't think that we have the same education as a lot of these providers, doctors, whether they be physician's assistants or nurse practitioners, whoever you have prescribing your medication. We don't have the same experience with them. I do like the fact that it does get conversations going with these doctors, and it's not just 100% relying on what these drug reps are doing for the offices and dropping off samples and so forth. But I think it's wrong that it goes directly to the public, because once you mention any medication that you saw on TV, a lot of doctors are more afraid of getting sued from not prescribing what you actually recommended than actually following what's good for your healthcare journey. Just my opinion. I know there's a lot of money being involved. I believe there's also one state, and for some reason my mind's going blank as to what state, but they're trying to get rid of PBMs, basically saying that you can't be a PBM and a pharmacy at the same time, basically. Caremarks and CVS, because they're both owned by the same thing. Because my opinion, again, just my opinion, that is a big conflict of interest. And of course, they're going to back whatever drug company is offering them the best and so forth. And they say PBMs get 74 cents of every dollar for the prescription, not just, and I'm going to use Eli Lilly for the example, not just like Eli Lilly, not the pharmacy, just them, the PBMs. So, that would eliminate a lot of it. Now, remember, that we're having all these problems with, they don't want these compounding companies. They're really attacking them. And, sometimes it's backfiring and sometimes it's not. But the way to stop all that is to just lower your prices. If they made Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk made their medication available to the public for 250, 275, probably even 300 max. I know I personally would flock to them. Why would I want compounding when I could get the real brand? I'm not saying there's a difference because I've tried both and have noticed no difference, but it would stop this compounding in a big hurry. So just my opinion. Again, let me know what you think. I know most people watch this on the replay, so let me know in the comments. Again, if you want to be on my interview, put it in the comments because I know most of you watch this on the replay. And I'd love to do your interview. I enjoy doing interviews. I think people gain a lot. They find different people's perspective. You take a little bit from this person's journey, a little bit from that person's journey, and you've created your own journey. And, not everything works for everybody and everybody's journey is different. So, keep that in mind. But, it does help. I'm trying to get some more creators and again, some more people. I have, I think, 4 just people on a journey and 3 content creators signed up to do interviews in the near future. Again, I know scheduling is a big thing. I'm very flexible. If you need to cancel, change, that's great. I'll tell you what days and times I have free and whatever, works with you. uh, I've probably had more interviews rescheduled than I'll probably have, but whatever works out. I want to get this information out to you guys because I think it's important. I think that it helps everybody. So that's where I'm at with this. Um, Again, so I tried. Microdosing, split dosing, whatever you want to call it. I only tried it for like 2 weeks, and I don't think it was for me. Now, the reason why I did this is when I got back from vacation, I lowered my amount when I went on vacation, and I changed it from 7.5 to 5 milligrams because I knew I was going to be eating a little bit more. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I did it. And then when I went back to 7.5, I was a little bit hungry. Now I didn't really gain weight, but I was, hungry for the first week. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do this because, like I'm really have to concentrate on staying on my plan, uh, even though I'm on maintenance. And I didn't want to feel hungry all the time. So I figured, okay, I talked to some people, including one of my healthcare providers, and they're like, why don't you start off by taking 5, on your normal day, and 3 to 4 days later, take the other 2.5. And I tried that. It helped a little, but, I was not quite as good as, when I take my 7.5 and, the 2.5 helped, but, did it help a lot? Was this all because I ate so much, the week to before? So I tried it for 2 weeks and I wasn't too hot on it. So I went back to my 7.5, get that full dose in and that, full working. And I think that's kind of what works for me best right now. I'm not, saying no, that I'll never try that again. But as far as right now, it didn't seem to work. Sigma Rizzler, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. We're talking about everything GLP-1. So, that was my little experience with the microdosing. I know I didn't really thank you for being a subscriber. Is it Sigma? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Uh, I need some few more subscribers and a little bit more hours, and I'll be monetized, and we'll have a big celebration. I'm almost ready to give away another gift card. So if you watch some of my videos, we'll have contests in them, and it tells you somewhere in the video how to enter the contest, and I give away gift cards. And when I get enough new people in, I get uh, give away a gift card. Pick a name. I'm almost probably maybe next week I'll pick another name. I always try to keep people in there that have joined. So the more times that you uh, enter the contest, the better your chances are of winning. And the only thing I don't want to do is give a gift card to the same person 2 times in a row. So if that happens, I may pick somebody else, but I'll keep you in there, and then maybe like a week later, say, "Oh, I have another winner," and give it to you. So it's not like your name is wasted. I just want to give everybody a little bit more of a chance. And again, I will save your name. And if I give out 2 gift cards, I give out 2 gift cards. It's all for, the GLP-1 cause. I've been giving, let me put this on the screen here. I've been giving away Amazon gift cards, but if somebody wants a different type of gift card, if it's something that could be delivered via email, I have no problem changing it. Because what I'll do is I'll respond to your comment that you are the winner and give you my email address, which, by the way, is GLP-1 Journey in Review at yahoo.com, so that you could email me your email address so that I could give you the gift card. And at that time, if you would rather have something else other than Amazon, I'd be more than happy to help out. Okay. I'm glad that's cool with you, because that's cool with me. So, a couple more big interviews coming up. The one with Ali, like I said, um, I was a little late, and I didn't launch it quite on my best day, but I'm sure more people are going to see it. I know that the retention on that is just phenomenal, even though it didn't get quite as many views as some of my others. It will, some of my, I'm a small channel, so sometimes people only come once a week or so. So that's when I expect to get the views. Uh, it'll grow, I promise you. Thank you that you love my videos. I love having you as a subscriber. I love having you on my live. I really appreciate the participation and everything. So that's it. Again, I hope Amazon, most people use Amazon, which is why I picked Amazon. And it's, like I said, via email. So it's, quick, easy, like once I have your email address, I send it to you, and, boom, like that, you have it. So I figure that's cool. Um, some other videos that I have coming up. Let me see. The one today, again, I go over some vacation tips because I was just on vacation. I am going away a little bit on the week of 4th of July, but only a couple days. I'm going to visit my brother on the other side of Florida, and one of my brothers that lives on this side of Florida, but about an hour away, is going to meet us there. But it's only for like 3 days, so I'm not expecting much. Yes, we will go out to dinner, and we tend to go to a place that has fish, so I'll get fish. Yeah, yes, I'll probably have a little bit more potato or something than I normally would. And yes, I may even have dessert, but I'm on maintenance, and like I said, no food is off limits. Again, it's just moderation. I may only have, part of it. I might split it with my wife, might split it with one of my brothers, might bring some home for the next day. Again, you have to live your life, and you have to, give yourself some grace, and, expect this kind of thing. So again, my ADD kind of kicked in, and I was talking about my videos coming up. So checking my phone. Sorry for looking away, because all of a sudden my mind kind of blank again. Okay. Uh, a video coming up on me doing my microdosing. Sorry, my phone's a little slow. Again, what I would do differently if I was started today versus when I started. Uh, did that one. Facing what you're afraid of with GLP-1. That's always a popular one. Getting back into my cooking series. I've got a couple more videos that I'm going to be posting on cooking. I believe both of them are seafood. I think one's salmon. Let's see, one finger. Yep, I do. I have one finger that has, I don't know if you could see it. It's got a little ladybug on it. Probably going to get my nails redone on Sunday. Don't know what I'll do. Um, but what the heck? You only live once. So, that's one of my philosophies in life. So, do what you can. I started to go into this place that has red light therapy again. I do like it. I know it's good for your skin. I don't know how much it really helps with your weight loss. It is professional. It is one of these, 10, 15 or $20,000 machines. It's not the kind that, for 150 or $200 that you get on Amazon, which also helps your skin. It's just not quite as therapeutic. It feels really good. It does, in my opinion, when I've had a little bit of a backache, it has helped it. Maybe it's the heat, maybe it's, the red light, but who knows? And I do feel better after it. And they also have stretching because I don't think people stretch enough. I do work out as often as I can, but they have, I believe it's a physical therapy assistant because they also have physical therapy at this place. And basically for like 40 minutes, they stretch you. And, it was a funny thing because she asked, what are your goals? And at 5'2", I said, my goal is to be 5'4". And they're like, no, it's not that kind of stretching. But hey, so she said, usually what she did to me, people are screaming and yelling, "Oh, that hurts!" And then of course, anybody could use more stretching. Stretching is really good. So I bought a package. I think it was like 5 or 7 packet stretching sessions. I think it was somewhere around $250 or $300. It was supposed to be 6, but they threw an extra one in because I also had the red light package. So that's where I am with that. Uh, any little hack. Like I tried PEMF, I think it felt good. I think I felt good afterwards. I've tried cryotherapy, where it was you actually go into the machine where it's 222 degrees, with just the little mittens and the little booties, and basically that's it. 3 minutes, and when I came out of that, man, then I went right into red light. I got out of that, did the PEMF. I felt like I was on vacation for a week, 2 weeks. Um, did it really do anything else? I'm sure it was great for the inflammation, which we all know is a problem. But did it do anything for weight loss? Don't know. But what the heck? I'll try anything, within reason. I'm a type of person that tries this kind of shit, whatever, might work, works, whatever doesn't, oh well. Fortunately, I could afford it at the moment because I'm working and I'm working a lot of overtime, a lot of extra money. So what the hell, why not? So let me know in the comments if you have any tricks or hacks. I know at home I use the red light belt that I bought at Amazon. I actually didn't buy it at Amazon. I think I don't know where I bought it. I think it was some special from, I don't know if it was from Good Morning America or The View. How they have those little shopping things. It was that, but same basic type of thing. And again, does it help? It's good for your skin. It feels good, nice and warm, kind of like, lying on a heating pad. Of course, yeah, it feels good. I'm sure it's really good for your skin. They say it's good for, age spots. It's good for a lot of things like that. Uh, is it helping for the weight loss? I don't know if like I said, there's a difference between the $200 one and the $20,000 one you get professionally. Again, I'm into hacks. I'm into trying them. I did the cool sculpting. Did it help? Mm, They said it did. Of course, they're going to say it did. They're selling it. So uh, they showed me my before and after picture, and quite honestly, I couldn't tell which was the before and which was the after. Different cameras that they use because they had different people, but I was also working out, so yes, I was getting losing weight, getting thinner. Did I get thinner or lose some of the fat from the cool sculpting? I'm not doing it anymore. I tried it. I mean, if I'm gonna keep adding that kind of bill up, after I tried two packages, which came out to like 8 sessions. If I kept, they're like, oh, if you just have like 16 more, and I'm thinking, if I do that, that's half the price of a tummy tuck. Hey, Shaquille, how you doing? Doing this impromptu live. This is my man. Without him, I don't know if there'd be a channel. He's helped me so much. So if anybody needs help with any of their channels, the best SEO there is around, uh, really helps out with the videos, um, helps me with the titles, helps me with all the hashtags, helps me get the viewers. Highly recommended. So, thank you, Shaquille. Yay! Uh, Glad you're able to join the live. I usually tell them when I'm having these, but I just decided, yeah, something, I just finished a video and it was a little shorter than I wanted. And I'm like, what the hell? Let's just do an impromptu live, see what happens. So, and as it turns out, Sigma, hey, she became a subscriber. Thank you very much. So, let me know in the comments again if I know most people watch this on the replay, any questions, any topics you want me to cover, anything GLP-1 related. Again, like I said, it's not a political channel, but I did want to bring up this, advertising, this bill about advertising to the general public. I'm I do CT scans and I've been doing that for like 40 years. And being in the healthcare business, I'm just kind of like really surprised that they're targeting the general public. But, they want to make money and, it's, I don't know. I just personally, I don't think it's right. Is there a way to get the word out there? Possibly. But like I said, it's somebody sees this or, somebody gets this, real snazzy, Ozempic thing in their head. And, then they go to their doctor and then, hey, can I go on Ozempic? And like I said, what's the doctor going to do once you say it? They're more worried about, a problem, that, if the patient has a problem later, and they said, but I said I wanted to go on Ozempic, could they get sued? When in reality, maybe Monjaro is better or, Zepbound or something like that. The I think the way to do it is to have a commercial basically for, like, do you want to lose weight? Why not discuss with your doctor about a GLP-1? Let all these GLP-1s come together and do a commercial for GLP-1 and then let your doctor and you decide which one is best for you. Maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know, but just like I said, we don't have the same education and we don't aren't aware, sometimes there's medication or conditions that you shouldn't be taking these with, like maybe you have a real bad case of, of IBS and other type of bowel problems where, sometimes that if you're on it, it has to be monitored so closely because they don't want to aggravate those or, something like that, But like I said, I think there should be ways that you can bring it up to your doctor and let the doctor and you talk about what medication would be best. And again, that's just my humble opinion. you know, take it for what it's worth. So, yeah, that's my feeling on the advertising. Now, I want to get back to the social media now. I know compounding is very scary right now. It seems to actually be going pretty well. I know, at least like I've used Mochi recently. I'm not paid by Mochi. I'm not anything with Mochi other than, I've gotten a couple of referral fees, which anybody with Mochi could get. They seem to have taken care of their problems. The last I never really had a problem. I guess I've just been lucky, but I know people, especially when Akita got shut down, were waiting months and so forth. Lately, it's been taking between 7 to 8 days from the time you order it till you receive it. And, to me, that's not bad. Orderly doesn't seem to be having any problems. They're both taking new patients. I know there's many others out there. I just want to warn everybody to please, please, please be, very careful. There's a lot of really shady ones out there. A lot of, people that are just trying to cash in because, now it might be going away soon. So they want to make money while they can. Uh, I saw on another creator's channel, TikToker, that basically showed them reconstituting it in their, getting the powder form, reconstituting it in their kitchen and sending it out. Well, stay away from that, because it's really hard and you've got to get everything just right and super easy to mess it up and create infections and all sorts of problems, get the concentration wrong. And you see something like that, run. And whatever you do, use a good credit card, not your ATM card, something that you can dispute so that, if it is one of these and it is taking, much longer than expected, you can call your bank and dispute it. Just my humble opinion, I think that's what people should do because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, let's get in on this now because it might be going away. Let's make a quick, however much money and, screw everybody, fuck them, I know they worked for it, but, I want their money, nobody wants that. So again, just my humble opinion. And I would personally stay away from all this gray or research grade or powder stuff that you have to reconstitute because you have to get the sterile water and everything's got to be just right and you have to mix it properly. And again, it's plus you don't know what you're really getting. At least these compounding companies, at least the reputable ones that use reputable pharmacies, no, they're not FDA approved, but the pharmacy itself is FDA inspected and so forth. And do your research, check the reviews, check which pharmacies they use, check the reviews, check to see if there's been recalls, check all of that because it's really important. And we really, your safety is one of my main concerns. I don't know if it's some of theirs, but it is one of my main concerns, and I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, Stick with the big ones. That's what I would do. There are some smaller ones that are okay. Some of these spa ones are going away. Some of them just can't fight these cease and desist letters. They don't want to take the chances. I know the big telehealth companies have some lawyers and can at least fight it for a while. We don't know how long this adding B6 or B12 or whatever is going to last because how could they say it's a custom dose and then write 200,000 prescriptions for it? How long could they get away with that? I don't know. I don't have my crystal ball. I can't really say, but that's what's happening. So just do your research. The last few that I've gotten were from Perfect RX. I think that was with Orderly. Orderly is opening up their own pharmacy I believe fall or something like that. We'll find out when it comes out. Uh, let you know. And again, like I said, look up, ask what pharmacy that they use, what pharmacies that they use. Because, like, I know Mochi uses several different pharmacies. Like the one for my area is supposed to be, I think it's South End, but I've received it from Red Rock and from Empower along with South End. Whichever one will get it faster, they may change it, but they'll tell you which ones they use, and you could look them up, do your research on them, because your safety is very important. And keep in mind with using all of these pharmacies that they're the medication is, in my opinion, is just as good pharmacy to pharmacy, but the dose might be different. And don't mistake dose with units. Like, for example, if I'm on 7.5, I think on mine it was 88 units, but if I used a different pharmacy, the 7.5 might only be 50 units. So what I do when I have different pharmacies, if it's not on the bottle exactly how many units is what, and like I've said, sometimes I've changed it to 5 and so forth, just did the math. But anyhow, if it's not on the little label, I keep it in the little Ziploc bag that has the directions on it, that, has the units that I'm supposed to use for that dose. Uh, the bud date is on the bottle. You know me, I try to go with the bud date, but if it's a little bit past it, um, I'm not too worried. It's a very stable, very strong, medication. It's only 98% effective. Personally, I'm okay with that. I'm not recommending that. You do what you feel is right for you. I'm going to do what I feel is right for me. So that's just how it is. Um, and let's see what else is happening. The new generation, they're going to come out with, or they're starting to do some research on once a week and once a month medications. I forgot if that was Novo Nordisk or Eli Lilly. I'm sure they're both working on them. Probably won't be out to 2028 or 2029, but once a month might be nice, but keep in mind that if you have side effects or anything from it, you can't change your dose for at least another month. And I'm sure that's going to all be worked out in the research. I'm probably not the only person that came up with that thought. Uh, Also, hopefully within a year from now, we'll be talking about orforglipron, the mouthful, or forglipron. Thank you. Sorry, got a little tongue tied there. The oral medication from Eli Lilly, which I believe is daily. Uh, they say, well, I'm not sure quite the effectiveness. They say it's just about as effective as the injectable. We'll see, because a lot of them, pills that they've tried before didn't break down as well. I'm sure that's all in the research, but to me, it would be nice to just pop a pill in my, daily pill thing and not have to worry about it, because they say it doesn't matter if you take it with food, without food, no restrictions. And when I see the research and when I see it's out, I'd be willing to give that a try. I don't mind the shot because you really don't feel it, but would I rather take a pill? I think that's how most of, at least in America, that's how most of us think, because in my opinion, again, my opinion, I think in medicine, they treat the symptoms more than they treat what the actual cause is. I think GLP-1s is kind of changing that, because besides treating the symptom of obesity, it's helping with the cause in the mind, and the insulin spikes and things like that. Uh, so again, that's just my humble little opinion. Everybody has an opinion, so that's that. Again, with the medications that are once a month, I think I mentioned before once a week. They are once a week now. Sorry about that. But the ones that are like going to come out that are once a month or even longer, just like I said, keep in mind we have to research how the side effects are. And keep in mind if you're one that's not really compliant, like I know I am very compliant. I have reminders on my phone. I have reminders all over to take my medication on the day. I've never forgot. I've always turned off the notification before it actually notified me. But some people aren't as compliant, and if you're only doing it once a month and forget it, because I think once a week is probably easier than once a month. Unless you pick a specific date, like, oh, I'm going to do it on the first. I think it might be easier to forget, but again, that's just my opinion. Have to see what all the research says. Like I said, they're just starting these studies now, so there'll be more to come out. Um, let's see, anything else going on in the world of GLP-1? Uh, like I said, this was just so prompt that I was just about literally to turn off my lights here and go relax because I have my stretching appointment coming up very shortly. So I thought I'd do a live. So if I forgot anything, I am going to get back to doing these a little bit more regular. I've been pretty busy between work and setting up these interviews. So that's it for this live. Again, anybody has anything to say, put it in the comments. I know most of my readers, most of my watchers are watching this on replay rather than live, and especially on a prompt go to live. So if you'd like to be interviewed, if you want to find out more about it, or you just have questions, put it in the comments. Just comment that you would, and I'll send you my email, and we could chat about it. Would love to find out about your journey and what's going on with it. And that's it for today. Everybody, enjoy your Tuesday. Have a great day.